As a city, we have environmental legislation to comply with. We've Water Framework Directive, the Floods Directive, Birds and Habitats Directive. There's a climate crisis and there's an ecological crisis.
Essentially, climate change is bringing about more frequent and intense rainfalls, and our old traditional system of sewers and gullies doesn't have the capacity to deal with the intensity of rainfall events.
Traditionally, we use pipes and tanks and chambers for dealing with rainwater and sewage and so on, but SUDS takes a different approach. It's where you try and use nature and vegetation and soils to store, remove and clean water on its way to the river.
So nature-based solutions is a holistic way of mimicking natural environments to address things like flood resilience and water quality in watercourses across Ireland. So by introducing these as part of essential components of public realm designs, we're building in resilience for the future climate change that we see happening before us.
So I have consultation Friday night with the residents down there to put the final design to bed.
As engineers, we like the nth degree. We like to know exactly how much water can go into a pipe, how long it will stay there and when will it come out. SUDS is a bit more variable. So there's been reluctance, I think, in the industry for many years to go with SUDS. And we find then when you bring a project to the planning department, there's a reluctance to approve of it on its own. And in many situations, you end up retrofitting the traditional drainage anyway. So this scheme was intended to address a lot of those issues as well and try and answer some of the questions around that very topic.
So we identified pollution hotspots along the River Santry and identified where nature-based solution interventions should be installed.
Artane was a perfect area for us to display and demonstrate the multiple benefits of a SUD scheme in a residential area. The Santry River, which is adjacent to Artane, is a river that's been identified on the state plan as a priority area for action, such as the poor water quality in that river. Essentially, the area of Artane was flood prone. It was predominantly concrete roads and footpaths or tar macadam, with surface water quickly flowing off and into the nearby Santry River, which then falls into Dublin Bay, a UNESCO biosphere.
When you're designing SUD schemes, you have to be conscious of the type of vegetation that you're using. Not every plant will thrive in a SUD scheme, so the type of vegetation you use is important. But once you have the correct vegetation in, they'll thrive. And then those plants themselves are feeding off the runoff that goes into them. I mean, what we call environmental pollution in urban runoff, oftentimes it's nutrients for plants. So you have nitrates and phosphates coming off urban runoff. That's fertilizer effectively, so the plants can uptake those nutrients, remove them from the water column, and then the water exits clean and it can then discharge into a river.
We engaged at a very early stage with the local communities, so they got to see how long it actually takes to cultivate and design and bring these projects to delivering them on site. But a key part of that is that they were bought in at the very start in terms of the change, the benefits. They had to put a lot of trust into our project team to ensure that what we were saying is what we could deliver upon. But to be fair, through workshops, community engagements, they informed the design and we were able to better educate them about the objectives of what we're trying to achieve.
This footpath is brand new, it's part of the scheme. It was a request by residents. So again, it wasn't.
Looking back on the project, I think the thing I'm most proud of is the extent of engagement with communities. I'm an engineer, that's my day job. I have a job to do, target that the communities, it's not on their radar, but what is on their radar is how we change the look of their community. So I do think having that level of engagement with them is probably the proudest moment.
We had to build a lot of trust, to be fair, and they gave that to us, but they have now seen the benefits of that. And they're seeing the benefit, particularly aesthetically within their communities, and how that brings added value to their own areas, their own properties, and the value that they get for their children, I suppose, playing in those green spaces now that previously were just concrete and tarmac.
So there has been reservations about installing nature-based solutions as they're relatively new and unproven. This Dublin City Council pilot project will showcase multifaceted benefits of nature-based solutions and how the community can avail of such.
The disturbance to the community, it hasn't been much. For what they're getting, to see the finished product is actually excellent.
It's a good investment what they've done. It really is, with the whole area. even around my mum and dad's road, and I mean, it's just fabulous.
Yeah,
isn't
it's
it?
gorgeous,
It's
yeah,
lovely.
yeah.